Welcome to 52 Weeks of Storytelling. This is week 35. Week 35. We are talking about your worst date ever. So, this is a massive spoiler. I don't know that I have a story for this one. If you want to skip to see if I actually ended up putting in a story example, go for it. But I'm not there yet. I haven't come up with one, and I'll explain why when I get to that section of this video. So, first of all, there was a video last week. You can go check it out. But I want to tell you what 52 Weeks of Storytelling is. 52 Weeks of Storytelling is writing your story one page at a time using these crazy videos. Inside each video, you'll find an explanation of what 52 Weeks of Storytelling is, information about the journal you can grab, legacy storytelling method, an intro to the weekly prompt, and my favorite part, the story example. I know some of you are just watching these videos to learn more things about me because I'm not. Funny enough, I'm not a very public person about things. I'm actually pretty private, but I've been sharing little bits of my story throughout these videos. So those are like some Easter egg things. So 52 Weeks of Storytelling really is this video series. It is also a journal. So cue the grab the journal option. The journal is a printed option from Amazon. It is the orange cover. That's super important. 52 Weeks of Storytelling with guided prompts. You'll find a link to that and the Etsy printable option in the description of this video or wherever you are consuming this content. And the journal offers a page to actually draft your story and also a page to outline if you're an outlining person. The legacy storytelling method is how I help people walk through actually telling their story or working with someone else to help them tell theirs. So it's a series of questions that help you interview in a concise fashion and ask questions that are meaningful, intentional, and elicit epic responses. Do you like all those big words? Basically, we use the 5 W's, so it's actually super simple. We use the 5 W's. It's who, what, when, where, and why, in that order. And the first word is, pretty simple. The last one, how I approach the why, is why did this moment happen? What were the things that needed to happen in order to get to this moment? And those questions usually lead really well into our last set of questions, which is digging deeper. These questions have more to do with feeling and impact and what you want people to remember about this moment. Now, that particular question is a reflective question. All the digging deeper questions are reflective, but when you ask the next, the first couple of reflective questions and then you ask that final question of what do you want people to remember about this moment, usually by the time a person has thought through all of the other questions, this one is super fun to answer. Often they'll think of something that they didn't remember before, or there's something new, or they are able to latch onto a new memory that they can connect to this one, and then they'll share that. So if you're using this as an interview tool or an activity as a caregiver or you're an activity staff person, this question is so important. It's important for your grandparents, whoever you're working with, and for yourself. Ask the questions. You can't hear the answers if you don't ask, right? So with that, I'm going to share the weekly writing prompt with you. So worst date ever. I've shared in a couple other videos the prompts that I choose. It's easy to talk about favorites. It's easy to talk about fun stuff and, the happy things. But part of our life experience is the crappy things, the things that happen that are kind of like, meh, like, why did that happen? And so worst date ever. It's actually sometimes it's a memory people love sharing, which is super funny to see them talk about their worst date ever. I like to follow up with what was your best date ever, because sometimes it's super juicy to share the really awful things, but they won't share a fun one. So, worst date ever. I'll leave it up to you however you want to explore that topic with yourself or someone you love. Just remember to respect people's boundaries. If they appear to become uncomfortable or you become uncomfortable thinking or talking about a particular moment in your life, skip it. Do something else. I think it's really important for people to enjoy the storytelling process. If they enjoy it and they feel good while they're doing it, or at least cathartic while they're doing it, they'll continue and they'll want to have more conversations with you. And it's easier to pick up the pen again if you liked it. So I'm gonna try to think about a story example. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't do a whole lot of dating. You can watch other videos to get the full story, but I had children super duper young with the same person. And I think we didn't really date. We sort of skipped that part. We've dated on, like, it's gonna sound weird. That's like a whole like video series of like how to handle that. Um, so I think for me, worst date ever is probably when someone, I'm gonna imagine what my worst date ever would be. I'm gonna daydream. So if you don't have a worst date ever, like maybe think about what your worst date would like. What's the worst case scenario that would happen on a date? I think not everyone, I think a lot of people might come up with like being stood up. Like that really sucks, right? But I think knowing that knowing that they could have come but they didn't, that's super obnoxious. And then people talk about like where everything could go wrong that goes wrong, but in reality, like it's I think how we handle problems together really shows what a relationship could be like if you want to have a relationship with that person. And because I like problem solving, so if you can't work through a problem with me, like I'm not really sure I want to spend time with you. And I know it's put date, but like I'm thinking about this from like a friend perspective, like pretty much, yeah. I feel like I'm digging myself a hole, so I'm gonna stop talking on my own video, and I'm not cutting this out, so you can enjoy me stumbling through this one. So worst date ever. Yeah. So I want to hear what your worst dates are. I'm sure I've heard from my friends who are in the dating scene. I've heard a lot of horror stories. They're their stories to tell. I have some stuff from early on, but that was a long time ago. So those are my thoughts on worst date ever. I want to hear yours. I can't wait to hear your stories. I hope you ask someone about their worst date ever and then ask them about their best date ever. And what did they learn from both? Like, did they learn something? Did they, find something that they really liked? They like found an element that they wanted to look for in another person after this worst date ever. Did it help them figure out what they liked or what they wanted in a relationship or what they didn't want in a relationship? And how did they implement that? So what did that look like going forward for them? Whew, that was a fun one. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was super fun to record. And yeah, so buy a journal, subscribe, or wherever you are, hit the button, smash the button, do the thing. Share this video with someone. Ask them about their love life if you're comfortable with that. With that, I hope you have an incredibly wonderful day. And until I see you on the next video, happy writing.